Hey, what's up, fellow detailers and hobbyists? So today I have something I've been wanting to talk about for the longest time, and that would be ceramic coatings. And the reason I'm talking about this is because there's a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of marketing that makes it look like ceramic coatings are indestructible. If I can, I'll put a picture on this. But the most ridiculous one to me is the whole like lighting the car on fire, throwing gas on the car and lighting it on fire on the hood anyway. So I want to talk about that, but I want to first off, before I talk about the whole commercial aspect of it, I do want to talk about the difference between paint protection film or PPF versus a ceramic coating, how they're different, which one's better for you or your customer. So let's get right into that. And starting off with the differences, let's start with the film. So with the film, it is actually amazing at protecting against, chips or any like micro scratches or someone bumps into your car, like those ads where someone bumps into your car with a cart, a shopping cart, and you leaves a little treated paint kind of thing on it, and you just brush it off. That would be more of the film, but so that's good for that. Prevents scratches, at least permanent scratches. I mean, it's the film itself is considered a sacrificial layer to your car, where if anything happens to the film, most of the time it's not going to be permanent, and you can just take it off when you're done with the film. You can replace it, you can change it, so it won't damage your car directly. Where if you want to sell it down the road, you just take the film off, and the layer, the paint layer should be fine. It prevents swirls. If you for some reason go to a car wash and the car wash is, you know, especially the rubber tentacles I like to call them, they're really harmful for your car and create a lot of micro swirls. So it prevents against that. Really big on water spots. It's a really good against hard spots. So if you're next to the sprinklers at your apartment complex or your house, it won't stain the paint at least permanently. It won't stain it, so that's pretty good. In terms of that, it is self healing for the most part. It depends on the brand, the quality of it. So that's something you wanna look into. But so that's the film itself, and now we'll talk about the main points of the coating. So the coatings. One second. The coatings are extremely hydrophobic. And so we've all seen the ads, or we've had demonstrations. If you are whether you're a professional detailer or a career detailer, and you're a weekend warrior, you just do it on your own cars, there has got to be at least once in an ad where you're watching YouTube, whatever it is, where you see these ads for ceramic sprays and all this other stuff, and they always show how when you spray water on it on the car itself, like everything just rolls down, and that is true. I'll give it that point. So that is true. It's extremely hydrophobic, so it won't. If you take it to the car wash, and you just don't have the time to dry it, just roll down the street and it'll just kind of all fly off. So that's good. It does fight contaminants, so that's another good thing. So if there happens to be just a lot of like oxidation, or if you especially if you live next to the ocean, which is pretty common around here in San Diego, um, it prevents oxidation from like the salt water like contaminating the paint and all that stuff. So that's pretty good. If you are in an area where there's a lot of spraying of any chemicals, that's really good. It also is easier to clean. So if your car gets dirty for whatever reason, most of the time I suggest if you for some reason have a car that is full of mud, if you go off-roading and you have a ceramic coating, instead of using the brush right over way to, like, especially those drive-through ones, the ones you do yourself, try to avoid using that if you have a ceramic coating, because you can just most of the time you just use the water pressure, the gun itself, to just hose it down, and then just do the pressure soap, and then rinse it off. It should be fine for the most part. And one of the biggest points I give to ceramic coatings is that it actually leaves the car super glossy, and it gives it an unbelievable shine that, unfortunately does not come so much with the film. but is really a great thing. I do want to mention real quick, I know that there is recently they came out with the graphene coating, which I will look into for the next time, and I'll compare that to a ceramic coating. So that's still fairly new. I'll take more of a look into it. But now we move on to the similarities between a film and the coating itself. So they both prevent chemical damage from, overspray somewhere, or salt water or whatever it is. So they're good against that. They do prevent etching. So if you have a bird dropping or something like that, or you know there's a chemical that goes onto the car, if you leave it for too long, most of the time it will create this little like area where you can see where something fell on it, and you pretty much have to like wet sand it a little bit to get it off. Or yeah, but it prevents that. They both preserve the looks of the car. So whether you're doing it for long term or short term with coatings, it's still protection for your car, and it protects the looks of it. It protects the fading going on for paints and to clear coat. So that's both of those are good for that. They're both invisible, and in some cases it can be nearly invisible, especially with the film. It also depends on the manufacturer, the quality of the film. As far as the coating itself, it is invisible. So it is like, we've heard it before. It's like a layer of glass over your car. However, if done wrong or improperly, it could leave little streaks that you will notice. Especially you wash it. So that's something to look into. And now I kind of want to move on to myths on both sides, because there is a lot of misconceptions on both. So we'll start off with the film portion of it. So is it easy to install? And people think it is, because you see the YouTube videos where people just spray down, the water with the soap and then just put it on top of that. So installation itself, it can be easy. It all depends again on the quality of the film, manufacturer. Sometimes the cheaper ones tend to be a lot trickier to work with. I'm actually gonna order one and try it out on a car right now. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll try it on a car. But and I'll say this for both of them. One of the main reasons why they're both expensive is because it's not so much the installation of the product that can be hard. It's the preparing the paint, especially depending on the condition your car is in or the car is in. Uh, it takes a lot of prep work if the paint is in bad shape. As far as the installation of the film, like I said, it all depends. I'll order a cheaper one and I'll try it out on a car, and I'll let you guys know how that goes. But yeah. So then another thing, will not fade. Will the film ever fade? And again, depends on the quality, the manufacturer. If you get a cheaper one, usually they tend to get yellowing, especially even the quality ones. They might get some depending on how you wash them, and there's actually a wrap or cleaners or anything like it's like a detailer, a quick detailer for your coatings. I mean your vinyl wrap and your film, which is a great thing to do between washes because it prevents that yellowing from happening. But typically with the cheaper alternatives, they tend to be more they tend to fade faster and get that yellowing. So then we move on to the next one, which is a big question, especially if you are getting your car, you know, getting your car a clear bra as they call it. Um, will it leave the residue on the paint? Um, most of these are going to be about based on quality. It shouldn't if properly installed, and depending on the quality, it won't. And that being said, I mean, if it also falls on how you treat it. If you mishandle, miscare for your film, it can lead to damages to your vehicle. Removing it improperly can also be a thing. A lot of times people just try to yank it, and then there is a procedure to removing it. But for the most part, it's the quality that does a big difference. And then another thing is it indestructible? People think it is, because you've seen those ads again. They go back to the ads. Not so much. You don't see so many ads for film itself, but you do see it when you're ordering. They show like a screw going into the film and how it won't break, even if you push it. It does take damage. Um, It is called a sacrificial layer for a reason. So it does take damage. It just won't be as severe as a coating would, or as not having anything would. So it will take damage. Expect that if you get into an accident or if someone rams into your car or something falls hard on your car, it will dent the car. It will damage the car. It will scratch it if it's deep enough or hard enough. So yeah, be aware of that. It is overall a great way to protect your car, but just be aware of that. And it's a cheap vinyl. It's a lot of misconception that it's just a piece of vinyl that goes on top of your car. No, because unlike regular vinyl, it vinyl is made for looks. Um, the the actual vinyl you see the car being wrapped in with design and all this stuff. That's just made for looks for the most part. And that tends to be more stickier, so that's where the misconception of it causing damage is, because a lot of times the vinyl wraps can be lower end and can actually be damaging to the paint when you peel it off. So no, it's not another form of car wrap. It's actually designed to protect the car, and it's been designed to protect high end cars and cars that race and all this other stuff. So it is a quality product if you get the right one. Um, and I do want to end by saying that the film itself is more of a long term protection. So it definitely, if you have a higher end car, or if you just bought a brand new car that you just want to protect, I know that dealers offer it, depending on the dealer, but sometimes they go anywhere from 3 to 500. That would be just like the front end. They don't typically do the whole car. They might if you ask them, but it is gonna be expensive, and that's the dealer price should be anywhere from, depending on the car, should be like 7 grand, 5 to 7 grand, depending on the car. You might get a if you get a like a higher end car, you might be able to get away with a cheaper price depending on what you pay. It's all relative to the dealership. Um, but if you can, at the very least, I do suggest you get the hood flares and the bumpers itself, they themselves, because they do protect really good against rock chips. So if you're driving down a gravel road or anything like that, it's a really big investment that will pay off, despite it being having a higher price point. So, and even if you do want to install it yourself, save the money. Practice. Get a big enough roll and just practice doing it. If you get a quality roll, it won't damage the car, so you can just play around with it. And especially if you just keep spraying it with water and the soap, it won't stick, so it won't be like permanent. So you can move it around, play with it, and you can watch YouTube tutorials and all that stuff. And as long as you keep practicing, it's just like everything else, it'll come out great. So you can save yourself some money like that. So now let's move on to ceramic coating and the myths. Um, so as far as the ceramic coatings, they are believed to prevent scratches. You see, I do want to talk about the ads for this one. In some ads, you'll see that they're grabbing a wire brush and scratching it up, and then they'll get a heat gun and and it'll just take those scratches away. I don't believe that's 100% true, just because I have had experiences with ceramic coatings, and basically ceramic coatings are essentially just to protect against chemical hazards. I have a neighbor right here who said he had his car, his truck actually coated, and I'm looking at it in the sunlight, and you can tell it's a black truck, so you can see that there's a lot of little micro scratches and swirls just from like basic car washes. So I believe that's actually like a little bit of false advertising. I'm not gonna say who specifically, but you'll see them. You'll know what I'm talking about. I think they actually stopped doing it. That was more when it was the earlier hype of ceramic coatings. And so, will it prevent scratches? I think it more than anything, it'll just prevent like micro scratches or little swirls from happening, because it is resistant. It's layers of protectant on the car. But as far as like deep scratches, no, they're still gonna be there. It's still gonna happen. So I want you guys to be aware of that when you're making a choice on getting a coating or a film. Um, is it bulletproof? No, it's not. I mean, there is actually a misconception that a coating makes everything. It makes the car whole proof against everything. So like I said, with the whole scratching up the car, they think that actually it's a thing. Um, they even say it's fire resistant, or you're led to believe that it's fire resistant because they throw gas on the hood of the car. And I've noticed this with several companies. They do this. They throw gas on the hood of the car and then they light it on fire, and then they wipe it off like maybe 2 seconds after it. And you see there's no damage to the paint, supposedly. Um, and that is mainly due not so much for the coating. If there isn't any damage, first of all, the fire is not. I mean, I'm not a chemist, but the fire is not exactly burning the paint. It's actually just the gas burning itself, and the fact that they wipe it off so quick. Obviously, there's no damage, but also the ceramic coating might have something to do with it as far as the gas goes. But more than anything, it's your clear coat. Your clear coat is designed to protect the paint of the car from a wide range of damages and all that stuff. If there is anything that is the end all be all, is your clear coat. There is nothing better than your clear coat against protecting your paint, or for protecting your paint anyway. But so don't believe the whole hype of like throwing fire on your car and it's gonna be fine because of the ceramic coating. No, it just happens to be a bunch of different factors that they're why there's no damage in your car. Mostly, I believe it's because they just wipe it off so quick they don't let it actually burn through. So, and can it be placed all over the car? It can be placed all over the car. This one is mainly to do with the quality of the coating itself and what is designed for, because not all coatings are designed to be on plastic trims or weather stripping. It can actually damage a lot of those things, and since it is like a layer of glass essentially. If you've ever done any kind of coating that is the 9H hardness, um, you'll know that when you wipe it off with a rag, that rag will no longer be useful because you can sticky like little crystals that have formed, which is why you can't use it anymore because it'll scratch with the car. And essentially that's what would happen on top of the actual weather stripping or plastic. It could create on the weather stripping itself. It could create like this crackling looking thing going on. As far as the plastic, a lot of them can actually coatings can burn through the plastic and make it look really bad because it's a high intensely high chemical that can damage like just cheap plastic that a lot of automakers use. Um, so just be aware of that. There are some coatings that can be put on everything, or there are some coatings that are specifically designed to be put on trims, and that would be the one that would be the safest bet. I know it's more expensive because you have to get two different coatings, but if you want to protect your car with a coating at all, that should be the way to do it. Um, and it's expensive. The coating itself is not expensive. A lot of times you can get one for $50, and it could still be a quality one. And you can do like 3 to 5 layers on the car depending on the size of the car. The more layers you do, it potentially has more resistant against everything else. But I think the highest I've seen maybe is 110, 115 supposedly. That's the professional grade. Most of the time it's just because they have a warranty, a manufacturer warranty, which it can be good, can be bad, because sometimes they don't even honor it. If you call them, there's always these little loopholes they go through. So be aware of that. But it's not expensive. I mean, if you do it yourself, maybe you can get away with it. Especially if you just bought a brand new car. The best time to do it would be when you just buy a brand new car, because mostly from the dealership they'll have these little scratches that are just from car washing, and most of the time they can just go away with a simple polish, a one-step polish you can do at home. If you need to, there's compounds that are for deeper scratches, but yeah, you can do it at home and save yourself $1,000 or more if you just do it at home and do it yourself. So you can save a lot of money that way, and it does it, and it supposedly lasts forever. That's another myth about it. No, it doesn't. It also depends on how you take care of it, and it kind of is a little, I want to say, confusing, because you would think that coatings are designed to they are designed to protect the car against elements and all this other stuff, but if you go through a car wash enough, especially those drive-through ones, a lot of times the chemicals they use can be harsh because they don't dilute them, and the soap can be a little acidic, and that burns through the ceramic coating quicker. So if you have a coating that's designed for you know 3 years or 5 years, it can actually last you like a year or 5 years or 3 years, depending on how you take care of it. That being said, try to use quick detailers or detailing sprays whenever you can if it's not too dirty, just to save that coating and make it last longer. It still requires maintenance. There's specific sprays to make enhance it if it starts to get dull. It will start losing its hydrophobic elements depending on the manufacturer and the quality. So be aware of that. And mainly what you're paying for, like I said before, it's when it comes to coatings and why they're so expensive, it's because they have to prep the paint. I've had cars where it takes me like 4 or 5, 6 hours maybe even to prep the paint just to put a layer of coating or two that takes me about an hour at most. And that's really long. But yeah, so be aware of that. And it's not an end all be all. There's the misconception again that a coating is going to last you forever. It's a bulletproof. It's this big thing that you no longer need to wax. As far as the waxing goes, that's personal preference if you want to enhance the paint and the shine. But no, it's not an end all be all. In my opinion, the end all be all was your car's clear coat. That's what it was designed for. It's designed to protect against all these different elements, well, depending on the manufacturer. But yeah, and that to sum it up, a ceramic coating is more of a protection for daily drivers. Um, it's not meant to last forever, as far as like a film is. It's more a film lasts a little bit more. So, I mean, but it is something that you might want to consider if you drive out a lot, if you're in the city, or if you're next to an ocean, ocean water or so any type of salt water. If it rains a lot, all that stuff, it is a great choice, and it's a lot cheaper than getting a film. So let's move on. Okay, my notes on here. Let's move on to what you would offer your customer if you're doing it as a detailer. Don't be like those ads. Don't lie to your customer. I had this happen a couple of days ago where I had a guy and I was working on a car, and this guy came up to me while I was working on a car. One second. And he asked me if I did ceramic coatings. I told him I do. And he's like, "Oh, cool. Like, I said I want to protect the car. I just bought the car, a brand new Avalon, and it already has rock chips on it, and I want to get that out." And I told him like for me to install it, it was like I quoted him like maybe $450, $500, but that was because I had to fix the paint a little bit, and that's on the cheaper end because I was only doing one layer of coating. That's it. And I told him, but if you are trying to protect the car from any rock chips or anything like that or scratches, it is better to go with a film. And I told him I don't do that just because I don't have the actual equipment to do that. I don't have the space and all this other stuff. So I referred him to another shop that does it. And he told me like, oh, I checked them out, but they were like so expensive. They're like 5 grand, 7 grand. And I told him, well, that's what it is. I mean, they do offer warranty. I mean, it's expensive, but it's really good, especially if you're trying to protect your car from rock chips or any type of damage that would come from driving it down the road. And I could have told him, oh yeah, I'll do it. I'll do a ceramic coating and should protect your car, no problem. But here's where the issue comes because now I can be in legal trouble since I lied. I don't want to hear it. I'm not gonna hear the end of it if he calls back and he's like, "Oh, look, there's a scratch that happened on my car. You said this wouldn't happen," and it's just never gonna end. And that's where I want you, especially because a lot of times, a lot of people who are detailers, they don't know about that. They believe the advertisements, and they tell that to the customer. They tell them like, "Oh, it's this wonderful coating that goes on your car that protects it from scratch and all this stuff." Um, so don't lie to your customers, or don't believe the lies if you're a consumer. Um, Always research whatever product it is. I always tell people to research the product, and don't offer false ideas or hopes. Just be straight up with the customer. I could have made that money. That's $500 easy, and it would have taken me like 2 or 3 hours, like more like 5 hours. But I would have never heard the end of it. I would have probably gotten sued or something. I don't know. I just don't want to think the worst, but it is what it is, and you just have to be careful. And I do want to move on to some other forms of coatings, and not so much the films, because the films are totally separate and you can't really find this in the same aspect. But moving on to the liquid forms of coatings, you've seen this, and I think it's funny that people believe the whole there's a I forgot their name, but they're really big. Shine Armor. I mean, no offense to you guys, but Shine Armor, they're no more than a sealant to me. Like I refuse to believe that ceramic detail sprays, and not just Shine Armor, just in general, any detail spray is actual ceramic. Maybe it has some traces of ceramic coating or ceramic in it, but it's not the same. That being said, the reason I believe that is because, like I said, I've installed ceramic coatings, and with a ceramic coating, once you use a rag to wipe off the coating, and usually it starts to harden. Like I said, you get those little crystals, and after a while, you can't use that rag anymore. But with those kinds of sprays, you do that multiple times, and you wash the rag, and it comes out the same. Like the rag comes out great. It's still, there's nothing left on it, and I know that because I've actually tried it on another. After I did one of those kinds of detail sprays with ceramic in it, I washed the rag. I ended up using another car that was black just to test it out. There was no scratches coming from my rag, so there was no crystals for me because it wasn't the same thing. Is there any actual ceramic in it? It looks like I have a little antenna. Um, More than likely there is, but there's very minimal where it just barely protects the paint. And I think that you should be aware of that. You should be careful. I personally don't recommend the Shine Armor um, ceramic spray. If anything, I recommend you go to the Turtle Wax. They just have a new line, the Turtle Wax Ice, or I forgot the name of it, but it's the gray bottle, and it says ceramic on it. It's a detailer. There's two ceramic detailers, and there's a ceramic spray. They both work great. They are a little tricky to work with because they can be pretty thick. If you don't wipe them off right away, they do leave like a streak, but you can just wipe that off. They are cheaper. They're like $12, $13, depending on where you go. You can find them at Walmart. Um, but I would save myself some money and not buy the ones that are 35 or whatever it is. Maybe they do have a slightly bit higher content of ceramic, but it just won't be the same thing as actually getting coating. So if you're looking for a coating, get an actual coating. Do it yourself, have someone do it, doesn't matter, but get an actual coating. If you're looking for something to just protect it, well, me in the meantime, I would suggest that as the ceramic detail sprays as enhancers to your actual coating. And they're cheap. They're like $13, 14 at the most, depending where you go. So definitely do your research on that one. And I don't think they're, to me, they're a little bit better than a sealant. That's what I was looking for. So just use it for what you think it's good for. Just don't believe the lies. Don't believe every advertisement you see. If there is a refund policy on them, like, make sure you cash it in if it doesn't work out. So yeah, be aware of that, and yeah. So hopefully you guys agree with me. Hopefully you guys learn something from this. If not, I respect your opinion. Let me know in the comments of your experiences with ceramic coatings, ceramic sprays. But other than that, stay tuned, and please make sure to subscribe. Give us a like if you liked it, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, take care.